this? No. Okay. It's recording now.
Okay.
All right, Miss Jen and attendees, it is 5 o'clock, so I want to go ahead and start to respect everybody's time, especially our host and guest, Jen. So I would love to go ahead and start off the conversation with just you telling us about yourself. How long have you been in the business? What got you into real estate? Where you live? Things like that.
Okay. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be doing this interview with you. I live in Lakeland, Florida, which we are right smack in between Orlando and Tampa. Absolutely love everything there is about Lakeland. I love Lakeland so much. I started in real estate. I got my real estate license 10 years ago. I've been with Keller Williams Realty the entire time. Prior to that, I was in property management, in apartment property management, and I loved it. And I would always ask people, why are you renting when you have good credit and great income? And the answer was always, buying a house is too hard. I don't know how to get a mortgage, or my realtor told me this. And, there was so many people that were confused about the process that I was like, wait a second, I can make a difference here. And so I met who is now my team leader. At the time, he owned a team. I met him. I met Damien, and got into Keller Williams. And I love this company. For everybody who's a part of Keller Williams, you're so lucky. You're so blessed, because our company really cares about their agents.
Yep. So, when did you get in? What year was that?
Right at 2005. And
Okay.
it was right before the boom, and I didn't even know it was the boom.
Yeah.
I literally got my license on a Wednesday, started showing homes on a Friday, and by Sunday I had 3 people under contract, having never seen a contract except for in real estate school. So that was really scary.
Welcome to Florida
It was,
boom, right?
yeah, yes, it was. I mean, I just copied, a contract that was on his desk. I just changed the names and the price. I didn't even know what to do. But that's kind of the best way to start, I think. Just jump right in.
So, how many deals did you end up doing your first year?
My first year, I did 11, and I was so excited to do 11. You don't even know. It was great at the time. And my goal for the year after was, okay, I want 12. I want one a month, because if I can do one a month, I'll be really, really good. So I think I closed right under $1 million my first year.
Okay, great. And let's kind of fast forward just to see the difference between now and them. What did you do this year? What did you close your 2016 with?
Well, now I own a team. I own the Welcome Home Florida team. And last year we closed 140 units. And we did a little over 15 million in volume.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Did that hit your goal out of curiosity?
No, I was so mad, you guys. It was supposed to be 150, and we had, one of our agents had a baby and had to take time off. And
Oh,
I was so sad. I mean, I'm happy about the baby, but I was like, there went my 10. There went the 10. That's it.
Yep. So 140 units. So in 10 years, you grew from 11 deals to 140 deals.
Right.
So let me ask you, what made you decide to do that? I mean, throughout the progression, what made you decide to start growing a team?
Well, my story is not a secret. I a lot of people know this, and I'm glad that you're asking, but I was really content doing the, 10 deals, 15 deals, 20 deals a year. And then I got divorced. And, when you get divorced, you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive as a single mom? How am I going to do this? And literally had to make a conscious decision to run my business like a business, to actually do this. And so the game changer for me was Bold. I signed up for Bold. I didn't even have the money actually to sign up for Bold. Another agent let me borrow the money. And then, I paid her back with every closing that I had. After that, $100. Mm-hmm. And Bold was the game changer for me. Right after I took Bold, that year after, I went from making, $36,000 a year to making six figures. So awesome. Bold was the game changer. And then through Bold, I decided, after I took Bold and after I, did that well, I hired my first admin right after Bold. And it was a disaster. I didn't know what her role was. I was just throwing things on her lap. I was doing all these things, and thankfully she stuck around for a little bit. But I learned through that mistake. And about a year and a half after Bold, I decided to start a team.
Okay, and when did you take the first Bold, just so we can get an idea of how long you were in the business?
2009.
Okay, so 4 years later. And do you sometimes wish that you took it sooner?
Oh my gosh, every day. Okay. Every day.
I was just curious. I know the crash happened in 2007. And yep. Then you got divorced, I'm assuming, in 2009 as well?
I got divorced in 2008.
2008, okay.
Yep. And now I've taken Bold 3 times. And I urge everybody to take it every year, every chance they get.
I would agree. I've taken it 8, so I'm right there with you.
Yep, all my buyer's agents are required to take it within their first year of being with me. And like I was telling you earlier, one of my buyer's agents became Rookie of the Year his first year, closing a little over $3 million his first year. Now my other buyer's agent, who just had her year anniversary with me, she closed, I think she closed 32 units her first year. And I mean, her just watching them and seeing what they do and mentoring them, I love that part of this business. That's my favorite.
That's awesome. So that leads us into, what does your team look like right now? So they're aware of what your structure looks like.
Okay. So of course I'm the rainmaker. Rusty is our other listing agent. So we've got him. Rusty and I both do primarily listings. And then I've got 3 full-time buyer specialists. And then I've got a listing manager that's in our office Monday through Friday. She's kind of like the office manager. She does all the listings, does all that 80% stuff. And then we've got a full-time transaction coordinator that we pay per transaction. And she's not in the office, but she does all the contract to close for all the buyer deals.
Awesome. Okay. So let's go back a little bit and talk about how you started up your business from not necessarily the beginning, because you absolutely came in at the boom, and at least in Florida, because Texas here is a little different. Yet in Florida, it was like people were banging down doors to have agents list their homes. So let's talk
Right.
about 2009. When you started being more committed, how did you start growing your business?
Well, like I said, when I decided to start running my business like a business, the first thing I did was sit down and get on the phone.
Okay.
I didn't care who I called. It didn't matter. My only purpose for the call was, "Hey, it's Jen. How are you? This call's about business. Who do you know who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?" And I must have said that 40, 50 times a day, every day for that entire year.
Oh, wow. So it's no
That's all
joke
I did.
every day.
Every day. My lead gen was every single day making my calls. And at the time, the biggest difference with me is I treated and still treat my Facebook as my database.
Mm-hmm.
So my phone calls were actual phone calls to people that I was friends with at the time. People who had birthdays at the time, "Hey, happy birthday. I hope you're doing well." That was my lead gen. Calling, I would ask other agents in the office if they had old buyers that they, just, post-it notes or stickies of people. "Hey, can I call them? Do you mind? I'll pay you a referral fee." Sure. And those were my calls.
So you just basically anybody who you haven't spoken to, you found their name, number,
Yep.
and made a phone call.
Yep.
And
Yep.
bluntly
Or I
said,
would knock on their door, or I would go to Walgreens, or I would go to Publix. That's what I did.
so it sounds like it was more of the commitment piece that got it going. Like you had no option. It was, I have to do this, so I'm going to do it at the highest level I can.
I'm a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
I only get $300 a month for child support. I mean, ironically enough, that does not pay for very much. So I had no choice.
Yeah.
This is a business where we're so blessed. We could make as much money as we want. So why not go do it?
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So you did these calls every single day, and I'm sure you started getting busy.
Yes, I started getting overwhelmingly busy. So what I did was some agents shared an assistant, and we would pay her by the job. So I absolutely hate paperwork. So she would do all the processing of the paperwork. And then when I had enough, in reserves, and by enough I mean where I could at least pay for an assistant for 2 to 3 months, that's when I made my first hire.
Okay. Now, outside of sharing an assistant, is there any, and when we say leverage, or let's back up, let me ask you, when I say the word leverage, what does that mean to you?
It means every single thing that I shouldn't be doing. To me, it means all the 80% stuff. Putting listings in MLS, putting signs in the yards, putting lock boxes, all of that I leverage out.
Okay. How did you decide what to leverage out first?
Well, the paperwork was the first thing I leveraged out. I didn't want any part of that. Once I write a listing contract or a buyer contract, I don't want to see it ever again. So I decided that paperwork was the main thing. Everything that has to do with the listings as far as pictures and MLS and all that I don't want to do. Even phone calls at this point, everything's routed to my office.
Mm-hmm.
And my assistant weeds it out, and that's the calls I take. My cell phone is anybody can find my cell phone, but I'd rather all of our sign calls go to the office and all that.
Yeah.
Leverage to me is everything that would give me a headache that I don't want to do.
So
the only thing I want to do is set appointments. That's the only thing I care about, is setting appointments.
Okay, great. Well, that gives a very focused thing for you to be committed to. So, which, by the way, I just have to brag. Before anyone got on this call, Jen said she set 14 appointments today during her lead gen. So when she says that, she's not kidding. All she wants to do is
No,
appointments.
that's it.
Okay, so let's kind of go into, we know leverage is people, it's also systems and tools. So the
Yes.
first thing you did was share an assistant. Is there any system or tool that you use to help leverage your time and efficiency?
You know, we are very lucky. Again, we have edge.
Yep.
Okay, Market Leader provides us with everything. Our campaigns, our 8x8s, the 33 touch, everything's in there for you. And on top of that, there's free training on Edge on how to use it. So all of our leads, everything filters in through Edge. I use the tracker feature, and that's how I track my appointments, because I want to see annually what I was doing to get what I did. So we use Edge, and you don't have to do the $99 one if you don't want to. But at first I started using the free, and then I upgraded.
Okay. Good to know. So everybody's on a 33 touch or 8x8 or some type of
Or
campaign.
8x8. Yeah, every single person, yes.
Okay.
Every person that calls in, we immediately put them in the Edge. Every person, I mean, everything is filtered in there, but yeah, every one of our customers.
So every year you've grown in production, and you started leveraging out your to a shared assistant, and then you hired your first assistant, and that went horribly wrong. So what did you
Right,
do
right.
the second time that you didn't do the first time?
I went to Recruit Select.
And what did you learn there?
That I was doing it all wrong. And by the way, I've taken Recruit Select 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I learn I'm doing something wrong. Just don't be very slow to hire. That's the biggest mistake I made. I would find somebody, and on paper they would look really good, and then I would hire them, and then it would be a disaster. I went through like 4 assistants in maybe 5 months. It
Oh,
was
jeez.
a debacle. I did. But now I look back and I'm like, I know exactly what happened with each one. Now, I've had Mandy, who's our transaction coordinator, for 2 years, Brittany, who's our listing manager, for a year. And you know what? I'm going to share this with you guys. They have very defined roles.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give them, this is exactly what you do. This is because if you don't, and that was my mistake with everybody, I would say, here, boom, boom, here's the job. And I can honestly tell you, it's very tough for one person to close 140 units. It just is.
Yeah.
And, I had to divide the job out. And that's the smartest thing I did. So Mandy does one thing, Brittany does the other. Brittany gets paid an hourly plus a bonus. And Mandy gets paid per transaction, and it works out great.
So you're a lot high referral. So what is your rate source lead gen sources? What are your main lead gen sources?
My number one lead gen source is really Facebook, because I use that at a high level. I make sure to touch going to family reunion, going to mega camp, I meet so many agents, and I make sure they all know I'm in Lakeland. I'm your person in Florida. And they'll call me and say, oh, how close are you to Tampa? Well, Tampa's not my area, but I can tell you who to call there. I always want to be the person that people call. And I'm really, really good at touching my past clients and the people that I knew before. I know that, 10 years in now, I've got a big book of business, but even at the beginning, I was really good at making sure my friends and family knew what my business was. So yeah, almost all of our business comes from Facebook.
So I'm going to ask you because I know a lot of agents have this maybe idea that we don't want to bother people when they're, especially our friends or family, when we're sitting there asking them who do they know. What would be
Right.
your advice around that?
The first time you lose your listings, your neighbor's listing, or the first time your aunt buys a house with somebody else, I think you'll get it. I mean, honestly, that's what it did for me. I came home one day and saw another agent from our office listed my neighbor's house. And I'm like, and she watched my daughter for me every day. And I go, Sherry, what happened? She goes, oh my gosh, Jen, we just decided, and we called him and he just came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could kill you. But really, it wasn't her fault. It was my fault.
Yep.
I never once asked her for the business. I never once said, hey, if you ever think about selling, I'd really like to be the person you call.
Why do you think it's important for that? You know, it's kind of the biggest there's no magic pill, and yet it is kind of the magic pill to actually ask for the business. That is the magic pill. Yet why do you think we have to do that even when we wear a name tag or put it that we're a real estate agent on Facebook?
Because, and I have there's a lot of mistakes that you can make on Facebook that I'll make sure to touch on in a little bit. But the average person, the average Facebook person, okay, only has about 300 to 500 friends. The average person. I'm not talking about like us. I'm talking about just a regular friend.
Yep.
And of those, they probably have 5 people who are realtors. And especially in this market where everybody thinks it's easy,
yep,
they're going to probably have 8 to 10 people. Oh, we're realtors. We're realtors. You are the expert. It doesn't matter who they know. You just have to remind them that it's you they need to call.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Mm-hmm. You're doing them a disservice by letting them list with the agent who just got their license last week because they just wanted to. You're in this to make money. You're in this to make sure that they know you're here to help them. That's it. We're providing a service.
Yeah, so I always relate it to if you have a friend that's an accountant, attorney, anything in that sense.
Right.
I mean, they are a service as well, and we want the experts. So why don't we expect
right.
the same in ourselves?
Exactly. And like I said, it's unfortunate when your neighbor or your aunt decides to list with somebody else because you didn't even ask. Or sometimes they think you're too busy for them, which is even sadder,
So let's say you have a transaction coordinator, because you do, or an assistant, buyer's agent. How do your clients respond to the fact that they may not be working with you directly?
That was something that for 4 years I struggled with. My first 4 years I thought there's no way I can give away my person. Like, they're mine, like I want to make sure they're okay. I want to babysit them and they're never going to want to work with somebody else. But it's all about mindset, right? I know what I'm good at. Mm-hmm. I'm really good at putting homes on the market. I'm really good at marketing those homes. I'm really good at exposing those properties. Okay? I know I am not good at giving buyers attention right now. That's not where my focus is. But you know what? Veronica, Katie, Rick, that is all they do. They see over 100 homes a month. They know every house that's on the market, and their availability is way better than mine.
Yeah.
So they're the experts. So whenever we have buyer consults with every buyer, we do listing presentations with every seller. And we say the same thing. You've hired a group of specialists. Brittany does this. Mandy does this. And I do this. And hey, guess what? If I'm not available, you're always going to have somebody available. And I find that our clients are okay with it. Even the buyers that want to work just with me,
mm-hmm.
they're okay with working with Veronica because they know she's going to stay on top of it.
That's awesome. So how has that grown your business, the fact that you have that leverage?
Well, like I said, there's, a really good buyer's agent can only work with maybe 5 times, with 5 to 7 A buyers at a time. And, I want to, with sellers, it's unlimited, the potential of listings you can have. But for me, I don't ever turn down anybody now. Before, I would have to turn down buyers because I didn't have time for them. And that's so sad. Or turning down a referral because it was, under a certain price point. That's sad too. Everybody needs to buy a home. Now we can help everybody.
That's great. And so let's go back to what you do with Facebook, because I know that Facebook is known to be a social media, and yet at the same time, you look at it as that's my database, because those
Right.
are my past clients, those are my friends, family, potential buyer, seller. So talk to us about that more, about Facebook and how you use it as a lead generation.
Well, to me, Facebook is my database. Okay, that I don't see it as I don't see it as anything but a moneymaker. I we're Listen. Facebook tells us who's getting married, who's getting divorced, who's having a baby. All reasons why people need to do real estate, right? So I make sure that there is no rocket science to this business. There's no easy solution except for sit down, do your lead gen, sit down and do the work. So every day for 2 hours, I'm looking at the trends. I'm seeing, okay, who got married, when, okay, where are they living, what are they doing? And that's just what I do every single day. I make sure that those are the people I see on my news feed, and I clean out my news feed every day, every day. And I make sure that I'm appearing on their news feed. That's very important. I do not, and I'm going to repeat this, I do not talk about real estate every day. I don't. That is the first way that you're going to get unfriended. I don't throw up real estate information nonstop because that's just annoying. But I do make sure to watch people's habits and people's behaviors. You can always tell. You can always tell the couple that's fighting. You can always tell, the people who are falling in love. And those are the things I look for, because those are the people that I want to be engaged with so that they can use me eventually.
So you see someone get married or have a baby. What do you do? What do you say? How do you approach that?
Besides get super excited at the moment, not because I love babies, but because they're having a baby and now I know their family's growing.
Yeah.
Well, from the minute they get pregnant, I start following their posts, the husband and the wife, just so that they can start seeing me. And once they have the baby, I message them right away and say, congratulations, you guys. I'm so excited about the baby. He or she's adorable. Let me know if you need anything. If you guys need food or need me to arrange anything for you, just let me know. I don't ask for their real estate business right then because that would be pushy.
Yeah.
I offer something. Hey, do you guys need food? Do you guys need a babysitter for your other child? Whatever you need, let me know. And that's how I approach it. The same thing with weddings. Oh, congratulations, your wedding was so beautiful. I love that menu. Who did you use by chance? Who was your wedding planner? And then when I start a conversation, hey, I'm here if you ever need anything.
And so
that's it.
Is there ever the time that you go in and say, do you need to buy, sell, or invest? Is there that time or no?
It depends on where we are in the conversation.
Okay.
It does. It depends on where we ask on the conversation. But yeah, I do. Eventually I'll say, hey, maybe not you, but who do you know who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? the market's really awesome right now.
So
And they'll go, really?
That's so great. So when I just have this thought or this question. So you made 44 calls just today. And if we talk about how many people we know, and let's say Facebook can have what, 4,000, is it 2,000 friends?
5,000.
5,000 friends.
No, 5,000 is the max.
5,000. Okay, so what happens if you hit all 5,000? Do you just start calling?
It's so annoying. You have to start, people can follow you, but you can't accept any more requests. So I'm constantly having to go in there and remove people. But when I was doing it for the new year, I found a lot of duplicates, like, people who have 3 or 4 pages that I was friends with all 3. And I'm like, wait a second. No, I don't need all that. I don't need all of them. So I just cleaned it up a bit, but you have to constantly keep going in there and cleaning it up.
Okay. And so you're constantly getting referrals and talking to new people. So you're eventually going to, you don't want to delete past clients, right? Or good.
No. I delete people who I'm not engaged with at all, or who don't, but it took me almost 8 years to hit that max, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. It's very hard to do, but I've got a lot of agents too, because that's how we all connect with each other. That's how you and I have stayed friends forever, because of our Facebook. So I want to be friends with every one of our Keller Williams family members, because eventually I'm going to have a client for them, or they're going to have somebody for me.
So I get your process. I get that you go on and you're really looking for those triggers of reasons to move. Baby, divorce,
marriage,
job change, marriage.
When they say the relationship is complicated, I'm like, yes. Please.
We do actually have a question real quick. They want to know if you have a professional and a personal Facebook.
I always get that question, and I absolutely love that question. Where I am today in my business, yes, we have a business page. We have a Welcome Home Florida team page, okay? But people don't do business with a business, guys. They do business with you as a person. Mm-hmm. So everything that I get, I run through my personal page. And I want you to think about this. You control that page. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want anybody to see everything I'm doing, why? It doesn't matter. You control what you're putting out there. You could also have all the privacy settings where you can create different lists. You could have a buyer list. You could have a seller list. You could have a family list. And if you want to post specifically for those people, you can. So, yeah, I run everything through my personal page.
I would agree.
People do business because people do business with people they know or people they think they know. I can't tell you the amount of times I get stopped at the grocery store and I don't know who it is. But they know everything about me. They tell my daughter, oh, Jasmine, I watched you cheer the other day. You did so good. And Jasmine's like, awesome, thank you. What's your name again? Jasmine says it so that I don't have to, thank God. and I have her so trained because she gets paid for closing, so she knows what she has to do. She does.
Yeah, I watch her cheer videos too. She's awesome.
See? Thank you.
Okay, so what have I missed here? So, you clearly pay for all your support or you have splits with them, but is there anything else leverage-wise that could be free other than eEdge that you can think of that you use?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, I remember I think the smartest thing I did was that at the beginning was the shared agent, because paying $20 for her to input a listing or to process the office paperwork. That was easy, deciding to actually have an employee and pay them hourly with structure and bonus, that's scary because now, I've got her livelihood that depends on us,
Yep.
I, as far as the most free thing you can do is pick up your cell phone and make your calls every single day. I know that it sounds probably dumb and you're looking for a secret solution, but there is no secret solution. After 10 years of this business, I can tell you the most consistent thing is picking up the phone and calling or going to a neighborhood and door knocking it. And even if you don't have a listing, I guarantee you Keller Williams has a listing in that neighborhood, and you can door knock that neighborhood and say, hey, we just got a listing down the street. Who do you know that may want to be your neighbor? I mean, you never know. So, yeah, that's free. Door knocking, picking up the phone, lead generating, that's free.
So it all starts with the commitment to lead gen. That's what I'm hearing.
It all starts with your mindset shifting to, this is not a part-time business. This is my full-time business, and I have to make money at this business, so I'm going to sit down and make phone calls every day for 2 hours. That's it.
How do you overcome the being in focus for those 2 hours and not allowing distractions to show up?
Listen, I'll tell you, I'm the queen of distractions. Even while we've been on the phone right now, my phone is going crazy, and I've got it face down in a way so I don't look at it, and I've got you on speakerphone so that I don't look at it. But for those 2 hours, my cell phone is on silent, I'm on my office line, and my phone is face down. There's a sign on my door that says I'm lead generating right now. Just shy of a death, don't knock on it. Like, just leave me. Because if I don't do it in the morning, I won't ever do it. And a lot of people, I was one of these people. You have a closing, yay, it's time to celebrate and spend money. And then you don't do any work, and then you don't have any closings for 2 months. And then you're like, oh gosh, I'm broke again. Let me go to work. And then you have another closing, and then you take some time off. Yeah, that's not how this business works. I mean, you can do that, but if you really want to make money, you're going to do the same thing every day, Monday through Friday, so you can get results.
I love it. So I think that we've gone through all the questions. So I want to say that I would like to hear just kind of your top 3 things you want to leave them with about building referrals through either social media or Facebook, or leverage. And then I'm going to open it up to questions after that.
Well, okay, I'll start with this. Make sure you're friends with every single buyer and seller that you're working with right now. That's the first thing, because that's a 2-part thing. 1, you want to see what they're doing and what they're talking about, and 2, you want them to see what you're doing and what you're talking about. All my customers are engaged with my child, and they know what's going on with me all the time, and I'm okay with that. This is a relationship business. Start building relationships. So that's the first thing. Go be a relationship realtor. Be friends with them. 2, in addition to that, after they close, don't forget about them. Call them a month after, call them 3 months after, and call them a year after. You're their realtor all the time. You want to be their real estate agent forever, not just for now.
Yep.
And then 3rd, just sign up for Bold. I mean, just do Bold. The office will pay you back on every one of your transactions, so you're not losing anything by signing up for Bold. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go to Bold. Go to Bold. Go to Bold.
Awesome. Okay, so everyone, there is a chat section if you are on the computer, and I'm not opening it up and unmuting everybody because it will be chaos. So if you have a question, please type it into the chat bar, and I would be happy to ask Jen for you. So we'll see if anything comes in, Miss Jen. They're all thinking deeply, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
Is it hot there right now?
No, it's 64 degrees. I'm freezing.
So everyone knows, just for fun, Lakeland is. I'm from Winter Haven, Florida, and grew up there for 10 years. And Lakeland is within 20, 30 minutes. They were rivals. It's just fun because Jen and I met through Keller Williams, not through being close to each other living wise.
Right.
That is
Right.
central. I mean, that is actual Central Florida. So if you do have any clients, please send them to Jen.
Oh, absolutely. I would welcome your referrals.
Awesome. So, okay, we have some questions. First off, someone wrote that you have been very helpful, so that's a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
And then the first question is, what would you do to change anything now? Like, what would you be
Oh,
doing now?
We're making some changes right now. Like I said, we didn't hit the 150 goal. And I know why. And it happens, life happens, but my 3 agents, one of them last year was part-time, and now she is committed to full-time, so that's a change that we're making. I'm going to get better at not taking overpriced listings, and what I mean by that is I had some listings last year that I should not have kept, and those were the ones that were overpriced, and I would constantly ask for reductions, constantly give them feedback, and nothing was happening. So I'm going to get better at that this year. Not really, because I'm a pretty blunt person, but just not taking those calls. And I do, so I'm going to get better at that. And two, I do make mistakes sometimes with follow-up that I drop the ball, when so many people are asking me for things. Like right now I've got 8 Facebook messages of people asking me square footage on a house that we put on the market that it just said we just did a coming soon ad. And I know that if I don't, the minute I get off the phone, don't respond to all of them, I'm going to forget them. So I'm getting better at that. And I'm getting better at managing my people. That's one of the toughest things to do. I can't tell you the amount of times I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, gosh, was I mean when I said that, or should I have worded that a little bit differently? So those are the things I'm working on this year.
Great. Okay, so we have another person who has asked, have you sold any horse farms in the area?
No, I haven't. We have an equestrian listing that we're getting. I think it's 7 acres on a lake in a gated community that's really prestigious. It comes on the market on Friday, I think, and that'll be my first one. It's vacant land and it is zoned for horses, but specifically for horses, no. We sold one last year that was like 330,000, 6 acres in North Lakeland, and you could have 2 horses on that, but they didn't. But you could, but no, not very many.
Okay, great. And lastly, someone asked that is it really not necessary to have a professional Facebook?
Is it necessary? No. I mean, if you want to, go ahead, but you're going to have a hard time if you're new or even 3 years into the business on getting followers. And what you want is followers. Yeah. You're not going to get that on a business page. You're just not.
Well, and I agree. I have my Grow coaching business page, and it's honestly there to boost posts. However, in the end, the the reality is you have to get people to follow you. And if you don't have the follow, it's easier to get friends on your Facebook page than it is to get followers.
Absolutely.
So I get
Absolutely.
Another question, where did you go to train about Facebook? Like, how did you learn how to do this?
You know what? I was doing Facebook before Facebook was any kind of big. So I did everything through trial and error. And I made sure to learn the algorithms on how to get on, like, make sure my post got on top of the news feed. And I just started tracking it the old-fashioned way, like on paper, and then I started converting it. That's it. Because this is how I see Facebook. Like I said before, this is a relationship business. So my job is to build relationships. And there's really no rocket science to that. I care about people when they have babies. I care about people when they get married. I care about people when they get divorced. That's just what we do. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, nobody really taught me. I was interviewed by our the Outfront magazine, 5 years ago, right when my business doubled, because of, you know, through Bold and Facebook. And just one of the things I said is I started small, and I started learning, okay, these are the people that I want to be engaged with, you know, so I'm going to keep on touching them until they do something. And then that's it.
Yeah, and I know you were gracious enough to come teach a Facebook class in my market center in Orlando for me when I was a coach there. So,
yes, ma'am, I do, and I still do that. I teach all over our state.
That's so great. Well, maybe you'll have to come fly out here one day.
Oh, my sister lives in Texas, so that would be awesome.
Great. Let me know when you're coming.
I will. Thank you, babe.
Okay, so 2 more, and then we'll wrap it up. So one asks if you use Instagram, or would you consider using it?
I do use Instagram. Instagram, and don't laugh at me, but Instagram is a way for me to find out what my daughter's doing and what her friends are doing. And this is how I've converted my Instagram. It's really, really cool. About 3 years ago, I started doing a bunch with her school. So I'm in her school about once a week. And every time I'm there, I become Instagram friends with her friends because they have parents, you know? Yeah. And so I started teaching digital citizenship at her school to 4th graders, 5th graders, 6th graders, and 7th graders. So basically what their online persona is, starting at 4th grade, because they have Snapchat, they have Instagram. And all those kids go back home and they tell their moms and dads, oh, Miss Jen came in today and Miss Jen sells homes. That's what she does. She sells houses. And so that's how I use my Instagram. I'm friends with all of those kids. And I make sure they see all of my stuff. Yeah, that's my mindset on that. I'm like, well, that was 12. I might as well capitalize.
So where did you find the algorithms for Facebook that you were talking about?
I learned them pretty early on. And I'll share them with you.
Thank you.
Facebook uses a algorithm called EdgeRank, EDGE rank. And basically what EdgeRank is, it's kind of like a credit score. It's always running, okay? And it takes 3 things. It takes the time decay, like how long a post has been up. It looks at the weight of the post, like a share has more value than a comment, and a comment has more value than a like. And then it also takes into account how long you've been friends with somebody. So let me just break it down. So let's say I'm friends with my sister on Facebook, and she and I have 400 mutual friends, and I'm always commenting on her stuff. Facebook knows that I'm going to see her stuff first on my news feed, okay? Mm-hmm. But let's say I become friends with you today, even though we're already friends. This is just an example. But I become friends with you today, but we don't get engaged at all. I don't like any of your things. I don't comment on any of your things. I'm not going to show up on your newsfeed, and you're not going to show up on mine.
Yep.
Okay? So it looks at the time decay, the amount of time we've been friends, and the weight of the ring.
Thank you for that.
So that's it.
And
You're
someone
welcome.
asked, one of my coaching clients, thank you, Jennifer, asked if your sister needs to buy or sell.
You know what? I just got her. She just bought a house with an agent in McKinney. And her house is stunning, you guys. I mean, I'm so in love with her house. It's so different. They do those planned unit developments with the pools and the schools like right in the neighborhood.
Yep.
So she got a really good deal. But yes, be friends with me so that if in case she has any other friends or anything else, I can send them your way.
Well, Jen, it looks like I don't want to keep you too long, and I really appreciate this. Everyone's saying thank you, and
I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you, and I will see you in New Orleans in about a month.
Yes, ma'am. You guys have a really good night, and thanks so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All right.
Thank you for attending.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay, bye.